Hi, and welcome to the second episode of my new channel, Clyde's Classic Collection of Vinyl. And yes, records ruined my life. Actually, my dad said that. So he's my dad, wouldn't you know that? He'd know these things. But he was not really a music fan. He listened to some country and, and big band music and stuff like Tijuana Brass, but Frank Sinatra. But he thought, basically he thought all rock musicians were, at the time they would say funny. He didn't like that. He thought they were all just sounded like sissies. So he once did say to me that the only singer he thought sounded like a real man was Jim Morrison. Okay, that's good enough. At least he actually thought out enough to tell me that. But he didn't like me listening to music because the rest of my family, one of my brothers played football in school, and another brother was out there with basically with cars and loved things like that. And he didn't understand a guy that's sitting in his room listening to records all the time. So he was constantly after me. He would do things like, pick up my records and throw them at me, or like kick my stereo. He did that. One day I was playing King Crimson and For the Crimson King, and he came in the room, kicked my stereo across the room, and and I was frantically trying to save my record. And so that, yeah, he was pretty not into liking me listening to music. But anyway, music, some people take drugs. I took music. I listened to music 24/7. It was my drug, okay? And it really probably more saved my life than anything, because I wasn't a popular kid at school or anything, and I just loved music, and I didn't really know anyone else that was into music like I was. They listened to the radio. They would say, like, oh, have you heard the new Rolling Stones song? And I'd go, yes, but they didn't know anything about the Rolling Stones, really, So, when I liked a group, I learned as much as I could about them. I bought the magazines. I just, anything I could. I bought the albums and studied the albums and every little thing. So I was probably pretty obsessed. And over the years, I probably at times still am. Anyway, as in my last video, I said that I got out of music for a while, but then my brother got me interested in music again. So now I'm recovering all the records I've sold, and as much as I can, and it's an expensive hobby, really. I especially if you want certain things. I mean, I love to. I wish I'd have kept mine, but nope, I had to sell them because they weren't cool then. Everybody was getting rid of their vinyl. I fell for that one. So anyway, now I'm back to buying records, and maybe I got about half as many as I used to have. I don't know, maybe 800 to 1,000. I don't know. Anyway, first record I'm going to show you is a mono. I collect monos. I love mono recordings for no particular reason. I just have a lot of them. Gene Clark with the Gosden Brothers, and he was in the Byrds for 2 albums, and then he went on to a solo career. And the only thing that keeps this from being a Byrds album is it doesn't have Roger McGuinn or David Crosby on it, but it does have the drummer and the bass player of the Byrds on here, and Bill Reinhardt on guitar, and Leon Russell keyboards. So this is as good as any Byrds album. It's just a wonderful record, and I'm familiar with most of his other ones, but this is the one that I love the most. And he should get a lot of credit for starting country rock, along with Mike Nesmith. Mike Nesmith is also another wonderful, wonderful musician. He might have been in the Monkees, but he was far more than that. But anyway, Gene Clark in mono is my first selection. My second one, Peanut Butter Conspiracy, the promo copy in mono, because back in the day, record companies would put out these promos for radio stations. Radio stations weren't equipped for stereo back then, so they would put them out in mono just so that they would have something to play. This is the second album by them. Not my favorite. It's a little bit darker than the first one, in my opinion. It does have Turn on a Friend to the Good Life, which is the first time I ever heard them was that song. But it's, to me, it's not as good. And on the back shows here, it's a very good psych album. Like I said, it's just a little bit darker. But anyway, I would say that if you ever run across a copy of this, stereo or mono, and you like psych, it's really worth having. It was on Columbia also. And that's one I've been looking for a while. Now here's a rarity. I also love albums that are basically common, but different, an alternate cover. And here's one that just cracks me up with. This is Traffic with Reaping. Now, this came out in Canada. So I guess the Canadians thought Traffic were farmers, so they put them, they, had them out there in the field, and, when they weren't, harvesting corn, they were making music. But I don't understand why this cover, which it's a horrible cover, but I'm glad to have it because it's really different. Now the back, and this is the first album, it's the Mr. Fantasy album basically, and the songs are basically the same as the American. It's just that crazy, it's on the Island label, of which was the black label. And it only, like I said, it only came out in Canada because I think every other country had enough sense not to use that. I mean, they probably didn't sell in Canada with that cover. So much for that. Next we have, speaking of Traffic, Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush, the soundtrack, which featured Traffic with 3 songs, 2 of which were not on their albums. And this Spencer Davis Group did some songs, of which I only know one of them, Taking Out Time. It's the Spencer Davis Group without Steve Winwood, the later. And this movie starred Barry Evans, who went on to no career, and Judy Geeson, which I recognize her name. It's a British film, but I don't think she did as much as I thought she did, but she was pretty well known. But anyway, this movie is about a guy trying to lose his virginity. But basically, he's really just daydreaming about it. He daydreams about different girls and, the things he would do if he really had them, I guess. I don't know. But it comes off as kind of a dumb movie. And it's been so long since I've seen it. I wouldn't mind getting another copy of it. But it's on United Artists. And this is a brand new copy. This album just got opened not too long ago by me. I got it I paid $5 for it, unopened. This record was brand new, 50 years later or whatever it is. And the label was this UA label. And I'm proud to have it because I didn't have those Traffic songs or any of the Spencer Davis Group songs. All right, well, let's continue this on. And this was a sleeve that came with it. Typical UA sleeve at the time. Now, you like alternate covers? Here's one we all know, but maybe you've never seen this one. And that is Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young with the white border cover. This came out only in France, I believe. And it's the same record, no real differences of any kind. It's still showing you the same inside. And on here, I no longer own a regular copy of it, so when I decided to get this album again, I saw this copy and went like, well, let's just get this one, because I really think that it's neato. So anyway, after that, this is a new copy of the Turtles Battle of the Bands. This album was my favorite Turtles album back in the 60s, and this is a double album, and it comes with the full album in which they play different bands on here. And my favorite songs are You Showed Me, Eleanor, and especially Surfer Dan. Love that song. I can listen to it over and over and still love it after the thousandth time. And the back cover is the same. I have not opened it yet to see what the inside. I don't know why. You know, it's I know the album by heart, but I picked this up because it included a second album of rarity, of bonus tracks that came out around the same time. Next, why does this guy not get more love from people? I don't never see him on these channels with vinyl channels, and that's Robyn Hitchcock. This is his second album, Groovy Decay. So I saw a copy of it. Groovy Decoy is the one you normally get, and you have to kind of search for this one because this was produced by Steve Hillage. Robyn Hitchcock did not like it, and he had it redone with someone else, and it came out as Groovy Decoy in the early 80s. This is a 1985 copy on Albion Records. And also as a note, it's really sad to hear that his daughter died recently. I mean, that's got to be a really sad thing. I didn't know anything. I know nothing about Robyn other than his music, which I love. And that's still, I mean, it's very sad. Okay, and yeah, get anything by him. There's going to be something you love on it, if not the whole complete thing. He did write My Wife and My Dead Wife, which absolutely blew me away when I heard that one. And it's still my favorite song by him. It's not on this record, but wow. Okay, back in the early 80s, there was a Paisley Underground in Los Angeles scene going on. And here is, I had the original, it was called Salvation Army. Well, when I rebought this album, I ordered it, it was listed as a Salvation Army, and I guess I didn't look at the picture very good. So I thought I was getting the actual Salvation Army album cover. This is before 3 o'clock, because they changed their name to 3 o'clock when the real Salvation Army decided to sue them. I don't know why. I mean, it wasn't like they were worldwide big major stars, but this was a great psychedelic punk record, and it's my favorite one by them. And see, I think Happened is my favorite song on here. It's the one about Doris Day, and I love that song. But also, There's Nothing, it came out in 1982. Michael Curcio is the one who sort of started the whole Paisley Underground scene and named it, and this was probably one of the first records to come out. I own several albums from other groups like Rain Parade and True West and those groups, but this is probably my favorite of all of them. Now, to a little bit newer, at least the late 80s. This is the Stone Roses. Now, I want you to understand that I don't get stuck in the 60s or 70s or 80s or maybe 90s, I don't know. But anyway, I wasn't a huge grunge fan. But this is one of them albums that is just fantastic from start to finish. This is the one, the song This Is the One, and I Am the Resurrection is a fantastic song. I was always a big Move fan, and there's some of the bass lines in that song remind me of the Move in their bass playing, and I just really, I have this on CD, but I just wanted to own it on record because, no reason, just wanted to own it on record. Okay, I have one more. This is a brand new album, and believe me, I listen to a lot of new albums lately. I listen to them online, maybe like Spotify, something, just to hear what they sound like. But this one here, I took a chance on, and that is Brick Smith, Valley of the Dolls. This album is from start to finish. It's a fantastic rock album. You know, she was married to Mark E. Smith of the Fall. She was in the Fall in the 80s as a guitarist, and at some point in the 90s she actually played on another record. I don't guess they stayed together, but she's been putting out records for a few years, and I have maybe 3 or 4 of them. This one is fantastic. There's a song on here called California Smile, which is absolutely great. And the single is say you're number one, which has, like, that's the single. My favorite song, other than California Smile, is Valley Girl, not the Frank Zappa song. This is a different one. This is a different song completely. Now, I don't know how old Britt Smith is. I mean, she's been around a good while, but she's still staying pretty young for her age, putting these kind of records out. She's not like a lot of people do, like Rod Stewart and people like that who get older and they decide to put out that big band music. This is like my swan song. I may pass away any minute now, so let me put out this record of crappy songs from the old days, in my opinion. But this is Vital. She works with a guy named Youth on this record. Almost every record she does is different people. And she made an album with the guy from the church, one of the guys from the church, which came out before this one. It's a little slower. This one rocks all the way. I don't see how anyone could not like it. Now, I have a radio show that comes out on Wednesday nights on WHYR 96.9 Baton Rouge Community Radio, of course in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and it's called Nether Street. Comes on at 10 for the 10 to 12, and I play a lot of different things, but I've been playing Britt Smith quite often. I just can't get enough of this record. I feel like playing it right now. I think I'm just going to stop this video and go play this record. So, you know what? I want to keep doing this. Please subscribe. Please like. If you can't like it, at least dislike, so I know you was there. And I appreciate it. And I will at least put out one video every week. And hopefully things will get better, and I can say records did not ruin my life, like my dad said. So this is Clyde saying adios.